Guyana, me Guyana, land of many waters with 6 races living together. You Guyana, me Guyana, land of many waters with 6 races living together. Essequibo, Berbice, and Demerara, the 3 counties that make her Guyana. Berbice, she gave us our great sons, Rohan Kanhai, Kofi and Dr. Jagan. Berbice, she gave us our great sons, Rohan Kanhai, Kofi and Dr. Jagan. Essequibo, well, with gold and diamond. Demerara, the city under PM Barnum. Essequibo, well, with gold and diamond. Demerara, the city under PM Barnum. You Guyana, me Guyana, land of many waters with 6 races living together. In her waters she gave us food, Bangamiri Hasa, Crimson Gilbaka. In her waters she gave us food, Bangamiri Hasa,
Level
Crimson
vibes
Gilbaka.
with another one, straight up, blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather round, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and pon the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
All right. Hey, guess what? Good evening. Let's get straight down into business. We're not going to beat around the bush. You guys share the link and let's get ready to rock and roll this evening. It's Monday. It's, what is it? The 6th. Sorry, it's the 6th month. Yes, actually. June 26th. Gosh, time is flying. It's almost the end of the year, right? Getting closer to that. I know some people, their bumps are raised and they get ticklish when they see rigged elections. They don't like to be reminded that the 2020 elections were actually rigged. Rigged, yes. And if you want to put some other letter, maybe F or whatever in front of it, by the PPP, by the PPP, rigged by the PPP. So we have a regime in office under questionable circumstances, and only folks without a brain will think otherwise. A regime in office under questionable circumstances. And maybe some of you questionable for some of those on the PPP side, those who jumped over right after elections, or just those who decided that they are going to just simply drink soup. Break down that word questionable for them. Questionable for them. We have a questionable regime in Guyana who has rigged their way into office. Now, if they weren't installed, and let's take for example, even prior to the results, and even right after the results, the so-called results of the elections, the so-called results of the elections. What have we been hearing, right? We have been hearing, this is what we have been hearing. This is what we have been hearing about SOPs. When was the last time did you guys hear about SOPs? SOPs. You stop hearing about SOPs, right? You stop hearing about that. It's not a mere coincidence that you're not hearing about SOPs any longer. But that is what we have been hearing, right? Oh, SOPs. 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 Now you're not hearing anything about SOPs any longer. They don't care about SOPs. They're not asking the coalition, show me your SOPs, right? Show me your SOPs. They're not asking about that any longer, because remember, that was just in style to accommodate their corruption, to cover up their corruption. That was what it was all about. And so now that they are in office, again, albeit under questionable circumstances, you're no longer hearing anything about SOPs. SOPs means nothing to them any longer. And here is why. Again, I broke it down so many times, but tonight I want to break it down just a little more so that those fringe elements in the PPP, Jack Dew and the likes of Jack Dew and so forth, and one and two other trench crappos who might be tuned in right now, breaking it down for them. Now, here's what, and I agree with Teresa Sandiford, big people here and sensible people, not the pacus who jump on just whatever fly past or fly through their head. That is what they just put. They just want to comment for comment's sake. We know who they are, right? Now, let us look at this here. If the PPP had all this evidence against the coalition folks that they rigged the elections, and it's something that I've been asking for a while, right here, since 2020, right here, since they were installed August 1st, 2020. Let us get the SOPs. Let us get the PPP's SOPs. Let us get the coalition's SOPs. And let's get the elections petitions heard. Let's put it through the court so that the court can decide. The court can open all of the boxes. Everyone, open the PNC or / coalition boxes, open the PPP's SOP boxes, and let us count the votes right there in the courtroom. But you see, they don't want that. They, meaning the PPP, doesn't want that. And every single opportunity they got, they fought against that. They fought against that. And for some of you trench crappos, fought is the past tense of fight, right? They may have different, but that's what the PPP might be doing too. Now, it is not the coalition who didn't want the elections petitions to be heard, it's the PPP. And this is where, for me, red flag go right up. The antennas go right up. Why would the PPP fight so as hard as they have not to have the elections petitions heard? So that, according to them, the APNU AFC rigged the elections. That's according to the PPP. According to the PPP. And their fanatics, because they have quite a few of those fanatics. If they were so interested in exposing the coalition, then the elections petitions would have done just that. Unfortunately, they cannot do it because they know that they have been lying to the fringe elements of the PPP, the lagu-bagus of the PPP, the soup drinkers of the PPP, those trench crappers of the PPP, they have been lying to. And those soup drinkers, those who just right after the 2020 elections, they jump ship, they jump over trench, bloujong, going and look for where the soup bowl is. Jumping up and claiming, oh, the coalition rigged the elections and there's no evidence. And look, and something that I will repeat, but it's a waste of time to keep repeating that. Because the PPP has no evidence of APNU AFC rigging the elections. But if they were to open those SOPs of the PNC and that they can prove to the world, prove to all Guyanese, that the elections were rigged by the APNU AFC, I would throw the APNU AFC under the bus. I will throw them under the bus. And come next elections, they probably, you know what I will do, right? Next elections. But the fact that they can't, how do they expect right-thinking Guyanese, sensible Guyanese, not the ones who think right off talk, whatever come through their head, bare dotishness, not because of that, not because, but because they can't show us the evidence. It simply means that I have concluded that the PPP has rigged the elections. Now, I know that hurts people. The bumps, raves, and these trench crappos, they don't like to hear that the PPP has rigged the elections, 2020 elections, rigged it. And that is why they are in office today. But for not too long, and I hope some of them are trembling right now, some of those trench crappos are trembling right now that the PPPC is not in office for too long. And when the PPPC is out of office again, those trench crappos who jump ship and those soup drinkers who jump ship, well, they're going to have to stay right beside it there because they cannot keep jumping ships, right? These people who jump ships are worse than people who, they have a saying that female who jump ship and all them kind, they're worse than those individuals. And I don't say it with any disrespect towards our females watching this show. But in Guyana, that one used to jump ship. And that one, right now, they got all kind of people jumping ship, political parties, drinking soup. Soon as the 2020 elections over and the PPP installed, they got some of them jump ship. Jump ship. Well, they're going to stay beside it there because you cannot trust a soup drinker. You cannot trust a ship, ship jumper. You cannot trust these ship jumpers. Good evening again and welcome to Straight Up. My name is Mark Benchop. What else is happening? Let's get away from the SOPs because the PPP supporters are tired, they're mouth tired, and they realize that they have been brainwashed. They realize that they have been brainwashed by the PPPC, have been brainwashed by the PPPC. Let me see here. Cyril Walker. Let's see what Cyril Walker is saying here. Mr. Walker is saying if there was evidence, Mr. Lowenfield and others would have been jailed a long time ago. They framed these guys. You know, Mr. Walker, thank you so much for that point. And it's over 3 years, and you have a valid point there, Mr. Walker. Because if they had any evidence against these people, or if we had a strong enough opposition, they would have been fighting. But then again, we'll get back to the not so strong opposition soon. We will get back to the not so strong opposition. So we put that on hold for now. But look, these folks have been in court. The prosecutor or prosecutors are never ready. They're still investigating. The case cannot start. All manner of things we're seeing and we're hearing, all because they just wanted to use these folks as scapegoats to make it appear that the PNC or APNU did something so wrong. That is why they staged that event at the headquarters. The event was staged in order to divert attention from the real riggers. And the real riggers are the PPP. Nobody could argue against that. No sensible person can argue against that. Absolutely none. Only the soup drinkers and the ship jumpers. The soup drinkers and the ship jumpers and the trench crappos would argue against that. We all know that. Because you name, it is over 3 years. You name any one of the cases, anyone, you name it, that they wrongfully charge these individuals, whether it's Lowenfield, whether it's Roxanne Myers, whether it is Mingo, whether it is Trevor Ben, you name it, any one of these guys, you name it. Always prosecutors are not ready. Case is not ready. Prosecutors not ready. All manner of things, and it's injustice. It's what you call political persecution. They're persecuting these individuals, and we see the evidence every single day. We're seeing the evidence. Our operator just indicated to me that we may probably head to where it is, Brooklyn shortly, and we may be joined by someone out there in Brooklyn who is contesting for a city council seat. Hopefully we'll have that person with us shortly to talk about her candidacy in Brooklyn and how you guys can go out and vote for her. Her name is Isis McIntosh Green. So we just want to take a few minutes away from the Guyana politics while you guys continue to share the link, because after this, we're going to share the links. Because Nigel Dharamlal has still not yet been charged. The DPP is, I don't know what they're going through, as though it's a big booklet. When some folks were charged of treason, it took 24 hours. They charged that person, and other persons. And the Roxanne Myers case and all these things, and even Detective Sergeant Bascom, they took less than 24 hours to charge Bascom as well. The same DPP office. But hey, let's pause for a moment. We will get back to that. But for those of you who are in Brooklyn and you're heading out to vote tomorrow, or wherever you are in the US and you're going out to vote, you've got to vote for the right person. Now, let's get straight to Brooklyn if our operator can connect us with Miss Isis McIntosh Green. She's running for a council seat there in Brooklyn, and she has on green, and there she is. Good evening to you, ma'am.
Hi, good evening, Mark. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm really looking forward to the show.
Yep, and we thank you so much. We know you're busy. We know your campaign is wrapping up. In fact, you guys are heading to the polls tomorrow, and hopefully people are going to go out and vote. Isis McIntosh Green tomorrow. Tell us all about your campaign and tell us a little bit as to why people should go out and give you that support, and specifically your district. But before we get into all of that, let's welcome you to Straight Up on 107.1 FM. But give us a background about Isis McIntosh Green.
So let me give it to you straight, since I'm on Straight Up 107.1 FM. Right now, I'm running for this seat because this is the community that I was born and raised in. I was born in Bed-Stuy, raised in Brownsville, and the NYCHA development, Van Dyke houses. And I'm looking to get more resources in our community. Right now, we are in a crisis. We're in an affordable housing issue where we don't have as much deeply affordable units actually becoming available. We're in the midst of a housing crisis where we have people who live in homeless shelters and have been for years and don't know when they're going to actually get a roof of their own over their head. We are, of course, dealing with an education crisis where there are even schools in my district where children still aren't able to drink the water coming from the faucets. And there is a concern that needs to be addressed with capital repairs as well as with the healthcare system. Within the district that I'm looking to represent, District 41, that includes the communities of East Flatbush, Brownsville, Bed-Stuy, Ocean Hill, and parts of Crown Heights. We have the highest rates of chronic illness in all of New York City. We need to do a better job of preparing and training our youth to actually take over a number of these jobs within the health force, but also to ensure that our hospitals and our federally qualified health centers have the resources it needs to heal our community.
And that sounds like more than a handful indeed. ISIS for the crisis. You have described that it is a crisis right now, and you are basically there. Isis McIntosh Green, ISIS for the crisis, to attempt to solve all of the problems within your district. Again, you want to give us our viewers a rundown as to where your district is so that folks can head out there tomorrow and put that X next to your name.
Yes, thank you so much, Mark. The district that I'm running to represent, Isis McIntosh Green, District 41, is in the beautiful borough of Brooklyn, which includes the communities of Brownsville, East Flatbush, Ocean Hill, Bed-Stuy, and parts of Crown Heights. It's important that we note that election day is tomorrow and the polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. When I'm knocking on doors and I'm at senior centers and I'm connecting with residents of the community at churches, the one thing that I am constantly hearing is people are fed up. And they are tired of not having representation that actually listens to the people and the needs that we need to address. What I'm asking is really, I'm applying to be your voice in City Hall. I want to be able to help represent you. I served as Chief of Staff to Assemblywoman Latrice Walker, working on the state budgets, everything from criminal justice reform to election reform to actual adequate housing policy. I've also served as executive director to the Progressive Democrats Political Association, PDPA, under the tutelage of Congresswoman Yvette Clarke and Dr. Una Clarke. And so I've organized within the East Flatbush communities and the communities that I'm seeking to represent for some time now. So far, I've been endorsed by Assemblywoman, Latrice Walker, Assemblyman Brian Cunningham, DC 37, 32BJ, the Nurses Association, NISNA, Doctors Council, and I could keep going on for another 10 minutes. But the moral of the story is everyone understands that we are at a point in our career that if we don't actually make the changes that we need, our district, we're going to be priced out. And this is really the last district, District 41, the communities of East Flatbush, Brownsville, Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights, where you can even purchase a home for under $1 million. And with all of the rezoning that's happening around New York City and in our area, it's important that we're prioritizing affordable housing and affordable home ownership.
That's a lot for you to go out there and vote for a candidate that will be standing up and fighting for your rights and to help to develop your community. You need a candidate that is as passionate as Miss Isis McIntosh Green. And remember, ISIS for the crisis. A lot of Guyanese are watching, and I'm sure other Caribbean nationals and maybe others as well. were you to be elected, and I, based on what I'm hearing on the ground, is that you stand a very good chance because you're ahead. In a lot of the polls, you are ahead. People like what they're hearing from you. But what are two of the first things that you will tackle as soon as, and we're assuming that you will be elected?
Well, thank you so much for that. Two things that I'm looking to tackle is one, affordable housing. There are a number of projects in the district that are being stalled because of politics and politricks, and I will not stand for it. It's important that we put people first. So that's number one. Number two is there are a number of senior programming that unfortunately underneath this budget is unfortunately about to be cut. The Department of Aging is supposed to be cut by $70 million, which is going to have a direct impact on the senior programming in our area. The first thing is going to be to ensure that our seniors have adequate food programs, especially because they're suffering with everything from food insecurity to facing eviction. It's important that we have someone that understands these issues, but also how to actually get it done. And there's ways to work with not just the city, but with partners on the state and federal level.
That's all right. We usually experience blackout in Guyana and some other parts of the Caribbean. You didn't experience that in Brooklyn just now, did you? Electricity failure.
No, it was someone trying to beep in. But
Okay.
I'm grateful for those two issues that I'm looking to tackle regarding senior food insecurity and programming, as well as affordable housing.
You know, I know you have a busy night. You guys are counting down. Then tomorrow, straight into the elections, you'll be busy making your final stops as well. Stop as well. What makes you the standout candidate? So when people walk into that voting booth and they see that name, Isis McIntosh Green, tell the people who are watching, and especially those who are in your district, and for those who are not in your district, who may encourage their friends and relatives to go out and vote for Isis McIntosh Green tomorrow. What makes you the standout candidate from the others?
Well, I thank you for that question. And as a wife, a mother, and a community advocate, I'm passionate about the work and I'm passionate for my people. And right now, we have unfortunately been having very negative and very poor quality of life. And for so many people who are looking to go back home to their beautiful, vibrant countries and also migrating down south, we want to be able to say, you have a place here and we are actually on the right track to keep you and to attract our future generations. I think that's what really stands me apart. I've done the work. Now, with this platform, I will be able to expand that work. When I've been able to get the Tilden Senior Center's kitchen completely gut renovated in the middle of a pandemic when people weren't even building, that speaks to the dedication that I have. When I was able to get New York State to raise the cap essentially on what developers were going to receive for building affordable homes, because for a while developers didn't even want to be in the process of building affordable homes, right? Not just the rental. We were able to get that raised from $45,000 to $75,000, which brought almost a few hundred affordable home ownership opportunities right here in District 41, Brownsville, Bed-Stuy, East Flatbush. So these are things that I've already been able to do when I've been able to push back against facial recognition software within our affordable housing complex between landlord and tenant friction. These are things that have already been able to act on. And so as the next city council member, if you are electing me, you are saying that now it's time that my voice is amplified. And now it's time that I have a strong voice in City Hall and that there's someone to hold accountable. I want to go to City Hall to help hold these agencies accountable. When you're calling 311 and they're unresponsive, tickets are being closed. When you're calling the NYCHA 707 number and tickets are being closed, you should be able to follow up with your city council member to stay on top of it, to be able to work for you. And that's what I'm looking to be able to do. And so on tomorrow, I need your help. Let's stop the crisis and vote for ISIS.
All right, 31 minutes after you heard it from the candidate, city council candidate in Brooklyn, uh, Isis McIntosh Green. She gave you her background, her credentials, of course. She's a family person. She also has experience. She worked with some of the best. She just mentioned them all, and she wants you to give her that opportunity to become the next council member in District 41. Brooklyn, the East. What is it? I know it encompasses where Utica, certain part of Utica Avenue as well. Yeah.
Certain
So
parts of Troy Avenue, Utica. I know that's a very hot topic for this channel, and I'll say we have a lot of things we want to get done.
yeah, lots of things to get done. That is why you've got to go out and vote tomorrow. Even if you're not in that district, call your friends, call your relatives. All of you, Yvonne Williams, Esther Cumberbatch, even Ruth, call your relatives and friends. I know you probably have folks out there in Brooklyn, Colin Barnwell, every one of you. So tomorrow, elections day, when they go into that voting booth, they will see a candidate. You've heard that candidate right here, Isis McIntosh Green. In closing, I know this is your last pitch to all of the Guyanese watching and the non-Guyanese as well, and those honorary Guyanese watching who may make that difference tomorrow for you. Here in your closing remarks for them to go out and vote again for Isis McIntosh Green.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you for having me on the show tonight. What I'll leave with you for all of the listeners is that please remember you are the key to change and to shift this district and be able to shift the culture. Right now is the time for us to take this by the reins and say, I need better for me, for my future generations, and for the city of New York. Let's get it done.
For the city of New York, let's get it done. A lot of Guyanese watching. I may test your Guyanese skills, because I know you have a lot of Guyanese around you and so forth. If you were to say something about Guyana or Guyanese twang that will urge maybe the thousands who are watching to go out and vote for you tomorrow, say something in Guyanese. Let's hear you. Something.
What I will say is I'm a part of Region 11, which of course, New York City and this area is the Guyanese population is the 5th largest here. And I want to be able to represent you and represent you well. I want to be invited to receive my pepper pot during the Christmas season and my cross buns during Easter. Okay. And this is not something that I play with, right? When I mentioned that I've worked with Congresswoman Yvette Clarke and Dr. Una Clark, this is a community, this is home, right? When I'm at 7-day Adventist churches and churches on Sunday, this is home for me. When I'm celebrating Guyana Day, when I'm mourning regarding the students that unfortunately passed and Madia, I've always been on the front lines with you. And I think the difference is when you go from staff member to candidate, people finally remember your name. And so I'm asking that tomorrow we stop the crisis and vote Isis McIntosh Green. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And hopefully we're keeping our fingers crossed that we will be having some pepper pots, some cook-up, some all manner of things, some puri and some egg balls and all these things with you to celebrate that victory. Kindly give my regards to the Honorable Congresswoman Yvette Clarke and even her mom, the godmother for a lot of politicians out there in Brooklyn, Dr. Una Clark. Give my regards to them, please. And thank you so much, Miss Isis McIntosh Green, and we wish you all the best. We're hoping that as soon as you are elected, we are positive about that, and we got to remain optimistic. And folks, remember that can only become a possibility if you go out and when you go out and vote tomorrow for Isis McIntosh Green. Miss McIntosh, thank you so much for your time. And again, feel free. Don't be a stranger, even when we are optimistic again that you're elected. Don't be a stranger to us here on 107.1 FM. All the best to your campaign and for tomorrow. Thank you. All right, Isis Isis McIntosh Green there for you guys. Don't forget, go out and vote for the candidates. You've heard some of the candidates right here. Malika Caden seemed to have it, Crown Heights, and Crown Heights is the home for a lot of Guyanese. And many of you remember over 20-something years back, there was a youngster by the name of Gavin Cato. And that incident happened when David Dinkins was mayor of New York City. Gavin Cato was the young man who was struck and killed by an ambulance, and there was a big protest going on there, and so forth and so forth and so forth and so forth. You know what I mean? And that was an unfortunate incident where that young boy, Gavin Cato, was killed. And then they had the riots and so forth. And during that riot, lots of things happened. And I do believe that because of that, sorry about that, guys. I'll take a quick break. Believe it's the light that's getting to my eyes. And yeah, sorry about that. I'll take a quick break and be right back.
So this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
All right, sorry about that, guys. And so that particular area was a hotbed back then, and you had guys like then the late Colin Moore, attorney representing the family there. You had Al Sharpton. You had all those guys back then. And not so long after, there was elections for mayor, and Dinkins was voted out. And a lot of people actually connected his handling of the Crown Heights situation as part of the reason why he was not re-elected as the first African-American person to become mayor of New York City, the first. And then the second, we now have Eric Adams there. Otto Martin could have been the mayor of New York, but he moved out and he's living in Maryland. Good evening to all of you. Good evening to Otto Martin. Always busy on his platform. So we welcome all of you too, not just Otto Martin, but Otto is busy. If I have my way, I give Otto a congressional award, because congressional awards are giving out these days. We got to get Otto something as well. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Naughty Mark, right? Naughty Mark, indeed. Let's get back now to what's happening in Guyana. And the main topic is this vagabond, Nigel Dharamlal, I'm talking about. Nigel Dharamlal. We are waiting for the DPP chambers to say something about this case. And in my opinion, the DPP chambers is taking way too long. And why, as I may want to break it down for you guys, is that I don't trust what's going on in the DPP chambers right now. And I'll tell you guys why I don't trust what's happening. Because the DPP there seem to be a history, a pattern of her whenever it comes to making decisions with people who are close to the PPP regime. We saw in the case with the policeman, Detective Sergeant Bascom, how quickly she was able to withdraw all charges or whatever against the policeman, against, I believe, Azruddin Mohammed, and so forth. So she protected those people. And the detective, who is known as the whistleblower, Detective Sergeant Bascom, was swiftly charged recommended by the DPP. And there are other serious matters where it took less than 24 hours for charges to be brought against the individuals as a result of the DPP. As a result of the DPP. Now, let's break it down for you guys. Let's have a conversation and break it down. And we can probably have a poll because tomorrow definitely they will. And this is my bet. This is my opinion. Sorry, I'm waving my hands like Trump, but certainly not small hands like Trump. But this is my take on the matter, that we will hear from the DPP tomorrow. Tomorrow is Tuesday, almost a week now. We will hear from the DPP tomorrow. Again, I repeat, this is my opinion on the matter. And we could very well hear that the DPP, Shalimar Haq, a friend of Irfan Ali and close to the PPP, Shalimar Haq may very well say that there is not sufficient evidence to recommend charges against. Dharamlal. We may very well hear that. If we don't hear that, then I want you guys to mark it down. We may very well hear that the file was sent back to the police for further information or clarification. Those are the two that I'm betting on. Those are the two that I'm leaning on. I don't know what you guys think, but whatever you think, I'd love to read some of your comments. And I do apologize to have her face up there. We'll have it up there for a few more minutes. But that is just my take. I am going to be surprised if she recommends charges against Dharamlal. I will be surprised. But that's the third thing. That's the third and last thing. It's the last on the list. I believe topping the list is she will send it back to the police for more information. Or she will send it back to the police, or recommending that no charge at all. What are you guys thinking? What's your take on that? And y'all can run and say, man, y'all going along with me. Because I find a lot of y'all go along with me just to make my head swell up and make it feel nice, right? Y'all don't go along with me. Even though I know that I'm almost right? Sorry about that. Pulling a little Otto Martin there on you guys, right? Otto is a good guy, does a lot, and you guys got to watch him as well. Does a lot. People are saying wicked DPP. Tessa Albert is saying facts. Let's see what GT Kabaka, these guys, GT Kabaka is saying here. Let's put him on the screen, guys. Yeah, either she throw it out or she recommends frivolous charges excluding buggery and rape. Now, let's throw out what you just said at GT Kabaka. With all due respect, she has to come back with, she has to. Once there is sufficient evidence, and in law, I like to use this term to show you guys, to show off that I didn't chew up on some law books. I went through and I did the law, and I love to show off on you guys. And you guys love to back me up when I'm showing off, Yes. Now, here's a big word. Now, once there is a preponderance of evidence, Otto, you hear me there? Once there is a preponderance of evidence pointing in the direction that there is sufficient evidence, a preponderance of evidence that he committed buggery and rape, then she will have to recommend charges against him. She will have to. But here's where she's going to beat around the bush. And let's welcome, thank you, our operator. Let's welcome Mr. Caesar here. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you, Mark, and good evening to all our freedom fighters out there who is viewing and listening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Caesar. We'll get back to Mr. Caesar shortly, and let's just welcome him to the show. But here is where, thank you, Keyvel Colin Hall, SC. I hope SC really means Senior Counsel and nothing else, because I'm going to get really upset if it means something else. It could be sweet Corey too. Who knows? But here is where thank you. At least somebody's laughing at my little sense of humor. But here is where Mr. Caesar this comes in, that she may say that they were conflicting reports, statements, because y'all know that the police have a history when it comes to certain individuals. They make sure then that they do not present the proper report, or they may pull out a sheet of paper and they may task something. Something isn't right. That is why the DPP is taking so long. Something isn't right. And I will come on the show with just my singlet, if you guys know what singlet is. So if she recommends charges against him, if she does that, I will be surprised. I will come with my just my singlet or shinglet or whatever you call it, just my vest alone, just so that you guys can see the muscles and so forth. But I'm not feeling good about this here at all. Mr. Caesar, enough of me. Over to you, sir. Your take on the DPP taking so long, and what's your take, sir?
Well, Mark, like we would have said earlier, she needs to comb through this file very, very carefully, right? It's taken a long time. I hope that is what she's doing, because, like I said before, I certainly feel that there's a preponderance of evidence here. You understand me? To levy charges against Mr. Dharamlal. I certainly feel so. And if the DPP is going to come back, Mark, and say that, hey, we are having conflicting stories or conflicting reports here, then we need to solve through that and see, who is accurate and who is inaccurate. We just can't decide that, okay, there's conflicting stories here, we have to throw this out. No, I don't think this goes down like that.
All right. Wayne Caesar is saying that he doesn't think it's going to go down like that. A lot of views, lots and lots of views. And whilst we are at that, let's commend the women on the ground. I got to salute those strong women on the ground who are out there, and a few men as well. The few men who are out there, they're not just talkers. They are out there, they're on the ground, they're doing their thing, and we just got to say kudos to them, all of them. They were out there protesting. They're protesting in front of the DPP's office. They're protesting in front of the office of the president. They're protesting in front of GCOM. I mean, look, I love that. And we've got to give credit where credit is due. We just hope that there are more people and that they would continue to protest, because that is what shake regimes up, remaining silent and thinking that Sarah is going to save them, or somebody in the US is going to save them, or some US government likes them and wants this person to run for president. And that is BS. Don't fall for that. You see what those women are doing, and the few men. Dennis Atwell, I haven't seen you out there protesting. Where are you other guys out there? We oftentimes see them here on social media and they're thinging. And where are they? Why aren't they joining the women? Why aren't more MPs joining this struggle, this protest? More. We have how many? 30 or 31 MPs? Where are they? Why aren't they out there? Why aren't other officials out there? Why aren't we seeing the central executive members, Gary Best and all these? I don't want to start off with Gary Best, but where are they? Are we going to just depend on a handful of people? Are we just going to depend on a Lurleen Nesta? And kudos to Lurleen Nesta, what she's doing back there in Guyana. Kudos to Simona Brooms, what she's doing. And I see some of the MPs out there as well. Roysdale Ford. Kudos to Roysdale Ford, Senior Counsel. And Annette Ferguson is out there as well. And we've got to say kudos to them. Ganesh Mahipal also. But where are the rest of folks? Where are they? I don't know. Mr. Caesar, anything else you wish to talk about? I'm not going to ask you a question, where are they? We're kind of like co-hosts now. You've earned your stripes right here. You've earned it. Go right ahead. Talk about whatever you want to talk about, sir.
Mark, something that I really, really want to talk about is Guyanese in the diaspora and the way they're persecuted, when they speak out against this government. Now, listen, this is a government, right? They call themselves a government, though installed, right? I think, this government is infringing on the rights of people, on their freedom of speech. Not to say that they can stop someone like me, because I refuse to have the government, tell me what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. I am going to speak. I am going to speak to the wrongs of this government. If they start doing the right thing, Mark, I would be on the show doing something.
Don't hold your breath.
Probably
Don't
volunteer
waste your
work
breath
or
on that. Don't waste your breath on that. They're not going to do this.
right.
Certainly.
No, exactly. So right, exactly, Mark. And look, we have been speaking to this government for some time now, and they haven't moved. So I don't expect them to. But what I know is that they continue to do wrong, and we're going to continue to speak to it. And I just want to make a comparison here. When the coalition was in power, Mark, and the Indo-Guyanese and the PPP supporters in the diaspora would have spoken out against the coalition. Nobody was ever threatened, saying, hey, you can't come to Guyana, you're going to see, and all this kind of nonsense. That alone should show the international community, what type of people they have there. A set of terrorists. That's what I'm going to call them. That's saying that they're running a country. You can't be threatening people, Mark. I take threats seriously. They have not threatened me, but I take that seriously. So they better be careful. These things, we got to step up, and we got to stop this type of movement by the government. I feel, Mark, over the 23 years, the Guyanese people have laid back and take a lot from these people and allow a monster to grow in Guyana. Now we have the task of conquering this monster, because we're not going to sit back. Listen, we're all human beings here. I'm not going to sit back and have another human being dictate to me. I'm going to have laws. There's laws that we all have to live under. That's fine. I respect the laws, but I'm not going to have another human being dictate to me. Like Barra Jagdeo stepped out the other day and said there's going to be a recount. No one man is going to step out and say what's going to happen. The people of Guyana need to start checking that.
Well said, Mr. Wayne Caesar. I will have my take on that shortly, but let me just say that not only some of these PACUs in the PPP, the installed PPP regime, are about that, threatening people, and they're PACUs. They are PACUs. They're a bunch of pussycats. That's who they are, and it is a crime, because if they are in Guyana and they threaten people, then they must face the law when they visit here. Some of them come up on visitors' visas and so forth. They must face the law when they come here as well, because you do not threaten people. And they have some within the opposition as well, and they love to parrot these things. Come and join me in the protest now. Like we're seeing Carol Niles saying, we want you to come and join too. Hey, look, I've had my days and years of that, and sometimes lonely years by that. So don't tell me. All of us can be on the ground protesting. All of us have our task to play. Because if I wanted to hang my gloves up, that would have been it. This platform, this radio station, 107.1 FM, would not have been doing what we do here this evening and every single night. But I'm tired of the foolishness with some of those who are back home, who don't go underground, who don't protest, who don't believe in protest, but they believe that they are effective in other ways. Like this person here, we want you to come and join too. I am almost certain, look, let's take a look here, that whoever Carol Niles is, Carol Niles probably doesn't go out and protest. Doesn't go out and protest. But the first thing you hear, that, why you can't come back? We want you here. All are we going to be there? Some of you who are on the ground don't go and protest, but y'all want other people to bell the cat for y'all. Y'all want other people to speak out for y'all, but y'all don't speak out. Right, Carol Niles? When last you went to a protest, Carol Niles? Right? So why can't I say that? Of course you can say that. But when was the last time you protest? You do like Rhonda Lane. You do like the others. When you're on the ground and you're protesting, say, hey, Mark and others, I am Carol Niles. I bet you can't even do that. I bet you wouldn't even do that. Right? Look, Look, don't start a story with me. We didn't come here for this nonsense. This is not a forum, but don't start a story. If you come and you talk crap, you will be addressed. And if you can't handle it, you will be thrown off the forum. Story done, whether you like it or not. You're not going to come here with any distraction. It is not going to work at all. So don't tell me nonsense. Don't start a story with you. Because if it's a story you want, it's a story you will get. All right? Good. Enough said of Carol Niles. And I'm tempted to give Carol Niles the trophy for tonight, but we'll give her a break for now. Right? We'll give her a break for now. Now back to what Mr. Caesar is saying. The PPP is always, you guys see me there just now, right? You see me in the ricketix there just now, right? And my name is Ben Chap, It's not, y'all see, I could get the little mad blood in me, right? I know, Andrew. It took a 360 there. It took a 360. It took a 360. And we know where Carol Niles is coming from because you could tell is a distraction. Is a distraction. Bye-bye, Carol Niles. Can somebody tell her that she got the award? She just got the award. Y'all think it's JR alone could trip out? Y'all just saw there, the guy from Philippines did just that. And let's give her something else before we get back to Mr. Caesar. Let's remind them.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Brenscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Brenscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Brenscop, straight up from the root. Mark Brenscop, who tell the truth? Mark Brenscop, defend the ghetto youth.
She best get your house in order. She best, or if it's a he or a fake page or whatever, best get the house in order. Who tell the truth? Mr. Caesar, and back to what you were saying, because it is true that they feel that they can threaten people when people speak the truth. Democracy is about freedom of speech. And that is why I say to some of the PPP pacus who come into my inbox to threaten me, I report them. And not only to Facebook, I don't waste my time to report to Facebook. We got to report to law enforcement agencies. Some of them come up here on vacations. Some of them have their visas and so forth. They cannot be threatening people. Some of them got their businesses that we know. And several folks who thought that they could get away with sending me stupid message inbox. They're invading my privacy, first of all. I don't know who they are. It is called harassment. And then when you bring that to them, then they put their hands up and say sorry. Quite a few of them have done that because they're not smart people. They're just not smart. So I'm glad that you brought that up, though, Mr. Caesar. I'm really glad that you brought that up. Let's go back to Guyana. Let's touch on this policeman. I know we spoke about him. We are not hearing anything about this here at all. And this guy allegedly tampered with evidence. Let's get back to him. Nothing at all we're hearing. Your take.
Well, Mark, I'm not surprised here. Like we would have said also that the orders would have come from higher up that this guy would have received. So I don't see him being penalized for what would have occurred here. I don't see him being penalized. And it's shameful because it just shows a trend in the Guyana police force. And these things only happen again when there's the PPPC at the helm. You don't see this level of corruption and misbehavior in the police force, when the coalition was in power. We was not seeing this. They had to be disciplined. They had to be respectful. They had to respect the citizens who are their clients. But in this case here, you know, it's just lawlessness all over. And again, lawlessness starts at the top.
It starts at the top. Well said. Nothing. We're not hearing anything about this. And in fact, going back to what Roysdale Ford, senior counsel Roysdale Ford, has said, that MP Ford, this is according to the Village Voice newspaper, and you guys got to go on the Village Voice, read the Village Voice, and circulate the Village Voice as well on your pages. The Village Voice is saying that MP Ford insists minister, well, I feel uncomfortable addressing this Paku as a minister, but Dharamlal must be fired. Says Ali is not his own man because he's not firing this guy. This guy, whether the DPP decides to recommend charges or not, I don't see how this guy can be sent back there at the ministry. Maybe they'll send him to India as Guyana's High Commissioner to India, but not back as the minister. Mr. Caesar, what is taking, you think, Ali so long from firing this guy, Dharamlal?
Mark, there could be a few things here. We don't know what, high level information that Dharamlal would have been purviewed to, and sometimes when one head rolls, that head would make 20 heads roll behind it. So listen, this is not going to be easy to fire this guy. It's not going to be easy because you're talking about firing somebody who is in that close knit, who is part of that core cluster of terrorists. You understand me? And they don't sell out on each other like that. Okay, we the people of Guyana has to vote this group out. They're not gonna sell out on each other.
Let me say this to you, Mr. Caesar, and remind some of our listeners as well that back in the early 2000s, maybe 2003, 2004, the regime headed by Bharat Jagdeo, the dictator, was adamant that he wasn't going to remove then Minister of Home Affairs, that guy who had death squads killing people, Ronald Gadraj. They didn't want to get rid of Ronald Gadraj, but they had no other choice. Ronald Gadraj eventually had to go, and after his U.S. visas and so forth were revoked. And I'm almost certain that that's the same with Dharamlal, that his visas were already revoked, in my opinion. And Dharamlal will go. Watch out for a statement coming from the PPP. Watch out for a press conference coming from Ali with a script given to him by Jagdeo. Dharamlal will have to go. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I can put my last $13 that Dharamlal will go, whether he's charged or not. He will go. Just like Gajraj went, this guy has got to go. He is going to go. Don't be fooled. The reason why they don't want him to go now is because of the protest and so forth. And they don't like to give in to these sort of pressure to make it feel or look as though, oh, they have given in. He is going to go. In my opinion, he is gone already. Behind the scene, they're having this discussion. That is why they put Anand Prasad to run the ministry right now. Anand doesn't have the head to run the ministry. He doesn't have the brain. He can hardly read and write. And they're not going to be comfortable with Anand Prasad being there. And they're going to replace him. They're going to put someone to replace Dharamlal. But just watch the ride. They're at the back room. They're cooking up. And they're doing all manner of things right now. Just like the DPP chambers, there's this appearance that she's cooking up there. Watch the ride tomorrow. You guys watch it. You guys know you hear it here first on 107.1 FM. Watch the ride tomorrow. Mr. Caesar, what else we can talk about? Let's move away a little bit from Dharamlal's situation and let's go to Madhya. Irfan Ali promised a commission of inquiry. Nothing to this day. And brothers and sisters in the indigenous community feel as though that the PPP has killed those 20 children all over again. They died a second death. Compliments of the PPP. No commission of inquiry. Shame on you, Irfan Ali. Shame on Jack Dale. Shame on the indigenous minister, Pauline, $5 million teats or $3 million teats Sokai. Shame on her. Shame on all of them. Shame on Schumann. Look, before I allow you to comment, sir, let's give all of them this award, please. All right, welcome back. No commission of inquiry, nothing at all. You're not surprised, are you, Mr. Caesar?
Well, listen, what they're hoping for is that we're going to forget about this. But this is not going to be forgotten about. You know, this was a tragedy, man. You're talking about 20 children. I mean, listen, one child, it would still be a tragedy, but we're talking about 20 children here. And you know, listen, with this young lady coming out and alleging rape, man, it makes you want to think what was happening with those 20 children or those 19 girls that were there. You know, this really needs to be investigated, Mark, and I would think privately, you know, there should be a further investigation into this whole tragedy and how this thing really happened. You know, because for some
They're not.
reason,
Sorry about that, Mr. Caesar. Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, for some reason, Mark, I'm just not believing, you know, what they're saying about how this thing went down. This install government is a very, very difficult government to trust, man.
Very corrupt. They're not a government. They're a mafia, a low-level mafia criminal enterprise. That is what they are. They're not a government. They don't believe in the people. They're not working in the people. They're unpatriotic. They're, I don't know, they're a bunch of Moko Jumbi, if you ask me. But remember, Mr. Caesar, since we're still on the Madhya fire situation, look, 20 deaths, 20 young people. The statements would not have been statements coming from one or two persons, dozens of individuals. But look how quick, look how fast the DPP charged that little girl, right? The next day, the DPP recommended charges. But it's been 5 or 6 days now, and the DPP get less amount of statements coming from this the allegations of rape. And she going around, twisting around, you know, like they got a chutney song called Gorong Koma Bauji Gyal, Gorong Koma Bauji Gyal, Pise Masala, right? Gorong Koma Bauji Gyal, Pise, right? That is what she's singing, the chutney with this rape allegations, Gorong Koma Bauji Gyal, Pise Masala. That is what she's doing. She doesn't mean, look, folks, I will be surprised if she charged this guy, recommend charges of rape. I'll be surprised, and I'll give you all my $13. All of my $13. I wouldn't even leave back $1 to buy snow cone for Emma. Oh, that would be silly of me. I'll give you guys 12 instead, right? She is not going to come back. Tomorrow is going to be a big day. I'm going to bed, waking up tomorrow, expecting tomorrow to be a big day from the DPP chambers. Y'all watch and y'all see. Y'all watch and see. There was something else though, Mr. Caesar, because this is your show as well. Sometimes I get carried away. Sorry about that, sir. But are you surprised that the DPP took so fast? Boom. And she charged that little girl with 20 or 19 counts of murder. 19 counts of murder she charged that little girl with. But days now, and she going around, you know, like you're storing curry or you're taking coconut in Karahi, and you got to turn it around. That's what she's doing. Your take on how she swiftly recommended charges, murder charges against that teenager, but now she's going around with Dharamlal. Your take.
Yeah, she tend to charge these cases based on convenience, because I believe that in this rape with this rape allegation file here, that we have more evidence compared to what we have in the Madia fire case. So I am surprised that she came back so quick with those 19 charges against that young woman. And we went Friday and through the weekend and today, Monday, and she still has not come back with anything concerning the rape allegations levied against Nigel Dharamlal. That's surprising. And Mark, I must say this, very biased in nature. And once we got a new government in Guyana, we definitely need to address the DPP situation and the sweeping powers that she have. They need to have some type of check and balance when it comes down to these type of cases.
That has been the conversation years now. Not now. The power. She has a lot of power. Whoever sits there has a lot of power for one person. There has been conversations many years ago about that power that they have. One person gets to decide that. One single person gets to decide that. And that one person cannot be removed from office by whoever is the legal sitting president. Do you guys know that? That nobody could remove her. It's a constitutional position. Just like Ramson Sr., Ramson Jr. father is the head of the head of some crap. Head of some crap. Head of some crap.
Well, Mark,
It's a constitutional position, Mr. Caesar, that cannot be removed unless they do something really, really bad. So the DPP cannot be removed just like that. You can't just walk in as president, you walk into the DPP and say, you got to come out with it's a constitutional position. And these positions, we've got to review some of these positions. We've got to.
you
We've
see,
got
Mark,
to.
it's not just the issue of one person. But if you're gonna have one person there, that one person needs to be unbiased in nature, independent in both fact and appearance, and that is just not the case with the DPP. You see, that's my problem right there. That's my problem with the DPP.
All right, let's bring in Jason Benjamin here with us. He joins the conversation. So, Mr. Benjamin, good evening. Good evening, sir. Can you hear us? We're slowing things down here, Mr. Benjamin. Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Benjamin. Like Mr. Benjamin's first or second visit and straight up like he can get the award. All right. So we're not getting him. Let's continue until maybe he plugs out and plugs back in. He's frozen. Philbert Taylor. Good evening to you, Philbert. All of you, he's frozen. We all know that movie, Frozen, right? Hey, you guys, I have a different kind of sense of humor tonight, so don't think that I'm the plug out from people type, right? So let's head back to rape allegations against Dharamlal. I don't know how many people remember, when was it, back in 2012, when Henry Green was the commissioner of police, and a rape allegation was leveled against him. How many of you guys remember that? That Henry Green rape charge was recommended by the DPP. Rape charges were recommended by the DPP. Henry Green never spent 1 day in jail or whatever. After the rape charge was recommended, guess what? And this is another scenario. This is another way to look at this. Rape charge was recommended against Henry Green in 2012 after allegations of raping a lady from Victoria Village. Victoria Village. Now let's see if we get Mr. Jason Benjamin. Good evening, Mr. Benjamin. All right, let's move on, Mr. Benjamin. Either two things: could probably upgrade his phone or upgrade his internet connection. Good evening to you, sir. Are you in Linden? We don't. This is a talk show. We don't do ears here. We're not ear doctors. Okay, so we will have this kind of conversation. But pay your bill and come back. Pay your internet bill and come back. All right. So whenever Jason gets his stuff properly, together, he can return because he's slowing up our momentum here. He's telling us he can't hear us. Let's check him back again. Mr. Benjamin, can you hear us now? Because we're not going to go on for too long like this. All right. So back in 2012, Henry Green was charges of rape was recommended. It was alleged that he raped a woman from Victoria. He denied it, but according to the DPP, now look, wait a minute here, charged Henry Green, the sitting commissioner of police. He's now dead. The sitting commissioner of police with rape, and the rape allegations against the sitting commissioner of police then, Henry Green, is nothing compared to what we're hearing from this little girl who was accused, Dharamlal, of rape. Nothing in comparison. In fact, I interviewed that rape victim. There was a press conference and so forth and so on, and she outlined every single thing. It went to the DPP chambers to betrung the bush, and because of public pressure, they charged Henry Green. But you know what? As soon as the DPP charged Henry Green or recommended that charges be laid against Henry Green rushed to the High Court. At that time, the acting Chief Justice was Ian Chang. And Ian Chang quickly put on hold the DPP's charge or recommendation of rape charge against Henry Green. Right away, the Chief Justice put that on hold and say, hey, wait a minute. Let me, as acting Chief Justice, review this whole recommendation of a charge of rape. And so it was taken out of the hands of the DPP and into the hands of the acting Chief Justice then, because lawyers for Henry Green rushed swiftly to the Chief Justice. It's in my mind, it was all a planned something. And so when they reached to the Chief Justice chambers, the acting Chief Justice said, look, here what, wait a minute. Put that recommendation on hold. I want to review what were the evidence that the DPP had in their possession to find out how they arrived of that rape charge recommendation. If, again, let us go back. If Dharamlal is charged with rape tomorrow or by Wednesday, something about tomorrow, guess what? We will definitely, a high possibility of us seeing a repeat of what Henry Green and his lawyer did in 2012 by rushing to the High Court to halt the recommendations of the DPP chambers. Y'all watch out for that. That will be a part 2 of this whole scenario, because Dharamlal intends on not to go down like that, not to go down without a fight. And hopefully by tomorrow we'll know Nigel Hughes is sleeping on the matter, whether Nigel Hughes is going to withdraw himself from that case. Over to you, Mr. Caesar.
Mark, I got your point. Very good point. Well put. But it brings me to this. Are the laws only in place for the poor? Because if that's the case, then, it's not fair. Not because this guy have a government portfolio and holds a position as a minister, it makes him, not liable in this case, and not eligible to go to prison just like any normal Guyanese who would have committed the same act. We know that right now it's alleged, but if that changes, this guy should serve time just like any other Guyanese. What's the difference? These guys, Mark, I understand they are part of a government or whatever the case is, but come on, we can't have laws for one set of people and it doesn't apply for others. I don't think that that's fair, and that's something that really needs to change. Because if he could just fly and go to the high court, then any normal Guyanese should be able to fly and go to the high court too. Right? It shouldn't be different for anyone.
I agree with you 100% on that. Anyone should fly to the high court as well. But watch out. A lot of things are going to shock you guys. I've watched Mr. Nigel Hughes give his explanation as to why he's on this case representing Dharamlal. And like any person, even David Koresh, David Koresh destroyed the people there at Camp Davidian out in Texas. But back in Wisconsin, there was that guy who, was killing. He was actually killing prostitutes or male prostitutes and so forth, as was described. I think his name is not David Koresh. David Koresh.
Jeffrey Dahmer, maybe?
Jeffrey Dahmer, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey Dahmer had a lawyer too, so everybody is entitled to have a legal representative. Everyone, but the lawyers are also could pick and choose. Lawyers can say, no, I don't want this case. And so Nigel Hughes was confronted today, and he promised to sleep on the matter. And that's the key word for me. Sleep on the matter. And when a lawyer tells you, or someone tells you, I'm going to sleep on the matter, it simply means that they're 50-50. It simply means that they want to walk out. And I will bet my last $10, it jumped from 13 to 10, that when Nigel Hughes sleeps on that matter, we will probably get a statement from Nigel Hughes either tomorrow or by Wednesday that he's out. I am betting you guys. I haven't spoken to Nigel in a while, but Nigel Hughes is going to walk away from this case. That's another bet. Nigel Hughes will walk away from this case. And you know what? Rightly so. He should walk away from the case. Nigel Hughes will walk away from this case. Over to you, Mr. Caesar, on whether Nigel is going to walk away or not.
Mark, I fully agree. And as I would have stated earlier, I thought that Mr. Hughes should, recuse himself from this particular case. Okay, he's a man of great, credibility, an excellent lawyer. But, like Miss Washington said, not every case that is put in front of you, you should take. And I totally agree with that. So for senior counsel Hughes, I would say, and I know he's not a senior counsel, but in my book, he's just one of the very best, and that's the way I intend to address him.
Now, Tony Hack is saying, Mark, I think you will lose the bet. Should we give Tony Hack the award tonight?
I think we're going to have to put it on hold, Mark. and see what see what
Mr.
happens.
Caesar, you get good sense. We ain't giving Tony Hawk no award, Anand Prasad. None of these people ain't getting no award, but certain people will get the award. You get good sense, not Tony Hawk. No,
No, no,
but
those are
Tony
my
Hawk
guys,
said,
man.
Tony
Those are
Hawk
my
said that I'm
guys.
going to lose the bet. I bet you guys Nigel Hughes is walking away from this case. He is going to walk away from this case. Let's get back to Jason Benjamin.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Oh, look, Jason,
Listen,
I could bet my last dollar that you borrow somebody's phone to come on tonight. You borrow somebody's phone right now.
auto ship one to me.
You borrow
Yeah,
somebody's phone, man. Good night to you, sir. How are you?
wonderful, my brother.
Let's get your
Greetings to
take
you,
quick.
Caesar.
Yeah, good night, Jason.
Let's get your take right away on Dharamlal's situation. Go right ahead. What do you think the DPP is going to do?
All right, let me just reflect from the University of Guyana days. Dharamlal's character on campus was one that was atrocious. And I speak firsthand from experiences because we had run-ins on campus, on Turkine campus, mind you, about his pronounced behavior in the Hindu society. So what we are seeing is only a situation that catapult into what it is at this stage, which is disgraceful. On campus, it was more, especially when they have those Friday nights hang and so on, or hang on campus or the tarmac, as we would say, the UG line. You find that Dharamlal, many times the females from the Hindu society on campus would come over to the student office to give their complaint in under the guise of secrecy. And so, as student president, we were mandated by students' constitution to give that form representation. Um, However, when we engage Dharamlal on many times on campus, it was always in denial. But then, at sometimes when you would be prowling as for military personnel, you observe what's going on the campus to make proper or wise or informed decisions in going forward for representing students, you would find Dharamlal in compromising positions and so on. But he was a character in which he hadn't the ability to, as we would say, hustle girls and so on. He wasn't the shine boy, as we would say, but he was more the left behind. And so he never got to champion his way.
Let me stick a pin there for a moment. And forget about the UG day who was shine by and who was, because I wasn't a shine by at all. I used to get everybody. But let's move away from UG. Let's move away from UG days. Let's talk to what has happened recently with allegations of rape against Nigel Dharamlal. And the fact that the DPP chambers is taking days now to come back with some sort of recommendation. Let us stick to now. Go ahead.
Right. So in the now, what we see is a more disturbing setting of this known disgraceful character with what he would have done and what would have been reported by that female and many other females unknowingly. It kind of makes your heart wonder what next can unfold, knowing that he was in such a high office and yet could have unleashed his wrath on that female. While we may say allege, the truth is that there are so many damaging information put forwarded by that student. And so he is disgraceful. Now, when it comes to the DPP, for many years, we see the frequency of whenever it is not of their kind, we see how, yes, this wicked crook, we see how 3 avenues would normally trump. And you had mentioned 2. One would be where the case would either be sent back for more time. I see it as a delaying tactic. 2, it's either dismissed with knowing that she has exercised her powers, and 3, it's either they need more evidence, and so the case will just be that washed and nothing happens. So I would hope at this juncture that good sense prevail and not to further push Guyana into a setting that they would not like to see. Because at this state, every citizen or most sensible citizens are concerned with what is unfolding and the next to come. So while the buck stops at her, the truth is, utilize good judgment in that office and let good sense prevail. Dharamlal must be charged.
All right, that seems to be the consensus across the board that Dharamlal must be charged. But again, I'm saying tomorrow is Tuesday. It's elections day over in the U.S. Folks go out and vote, but it's for me a big day in Guyana tomorrow because I suspect that the DPP is going to come out and say something. Topping the list is that she wants more evidence or send back the file to the police. I am putting my last $8 on that she is going to do just that. And I hope I don't lose it all. 32 minutes after 10 o'clock. And again, the evidence that we have heard about in terms of the repainting of the room, allegations, mind you, and so forth and so on. Let's get Mr. Caesar's position on what we're seeing on the ground with people who are going out there and are protesting. They're not looking for political leadership, but they're out there protesting. Your take on the protests that we see happening daily now, Mr. Caesar?
Well, listen, Mark, the people are doing what is right. It's their freedom as citizens of Guyana to exercise their customary rights, you know. And when you talk about their rights, we talk of freedom of speech, assembly without, you know, unwarranted or arbitrary interference by government. So they're doing everything that's in their right. It's part of their civil liberty. And it's good to see that the people are on the ground because I feel like if, the message is getting out there and the people have a good understanding of what's occurring in Guyana and understands that our country is at a crossroad at the moment, and this is where we need to stand up, or we would just totally lose our country, and we refuse to. We refuse to. That's why we're here, and that's why we're doing what we are doing.
And well said, Mr. Caesar. The other thing before we head back to Mr. Benjamin is that the PPP is so notorious that we jump from one controversy to the next. This is the only controversy, in my opinion, that has lasted so long. We jump from the Madja controversy to the oil spending of the 214 million US dollars that the PPP cannot find. I'm sure if you check in Jack Deere's pocket, it's probably there, his back pocket, that is, because a lot of monies and stuff, wallets are probably in his back pocket. And then we check around from one controversy to the next, and then the Madhya fire, and then the Dharamlal incident. They must be praying right now for some other controversy to pop up. And when no other controversy is popping up, and mind you, I forget to mention the permanent secretary of the Home Affairs Ministry. We haven't forgotten about her, but all the other controversies taking the back burner now. And this is the only one right now that is way ahead of the pack. Don't be surprised if the PPP comes up with something else to divert the attention. They're notorious in burning buildings down. They're notorious in terms of assassinations. And we've got to keep an eye out for the notorious PPP and these sort of activities. We've got to keep an eye out for them. Mr. Benjamin, your take on the policeman, the commander who has not, and their allegations that he has tampered with the witnesses. Allegations, mind you. Your take on why is he still on the job and has not been removed as yet?
Mark, we would have seen, and to the Guyanese community, we would have seen, or there's a known pattern within the Guyana police force, and for those rogue elements that are linked to the corrupt PPP regime. We know that once you're good, the PPP doesn't wish to have you around. And once you are corrupt, you can easily be used as a stooge for their usage until such time you become nothing or a vegetable. And so what we're seeing is this whole rush to cover up or to play the silent game or even create forms of distraction as recent as May Thomas, as we know, with the smuggling of cash and a number of other things. Bara
Let me
Jagdeo,
just interrupt you for a quick minute. Allegations of the smuggling of cash, since this is being brought.
allegations of the
Thank you,
smuggling
sir.
of cash.
Go ahead,
I
sir.
would have said it at the end, but in any case, we see these distractions popping up left, right, and center. And so now we're having where Bharat is planning to move, allegedly, move May to another ministry. And this would be soon coming short. Again, it's a form of distraction. So when with this particular rogue character, you see clearly that the government or the installed regime, they do not have no interest in enforcing that the commissioner of police do the right thing. Of course, he's uneducated, just like our fraud too. So I don't see much of it unless the people come together and continue to protest and come out while we may be doing it in pockets, but come out and have a mass protest, shut the country down, because that is what is needed for this PPP to get the message right. It's only one thing they understand, and it's pressure, but it must be people pressure.
Absolutely, people pressure indeed. Mr. Caesar, as we look to wrap up, because it appears that our folks do not want us to wrap up at all. But for those of you who have just joined us, it's about the Dharamlal rape allegations and the fact that the DPP is taking so long. But I have already spent out all of my money. I just got like about $6 that I put all right now, that the DPP will come back with something tomorrow. In the interest of time, though, let us head to our closing remarks, and we will have Mr. Jason Benjamin to give his brief remarks as we look forward for tomorrow, as I believe tomorrow will be the day. But your brief remarks, please, Mr. Jason Benjamin.
Thank you, Mark. To the Guyanese community, we have to stay strong. It's not just those in the diaspora would be doing their part to make an impact, but you too are important to this process. You cannot sit back idly and expect things to come your way. In order for you to get it, you have to get up and push. But it is best if you work in unity and come together. Together, we can make that difference. So I use this platform to call on you to let us work together for the better of the community and country as a large. Vote
Thank you
the
so
PPP out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jason Benjamin, there, and to all of you. We've been watching at your comments. We've been reading at least quite a few of your comments as well, and we know you guys are anticipating some sort of decision coming out of the DPP chambers. Tomorrow, I suspect something will come out of that. That's just my opinion. Your closing remarks, please, Mr. Caesar.
Yes, Mark. It has been 14 days since the local government election, and the Guyana Election Commission appears to have been frozen. I know, Mark, you spoke of the movie Frozen tonight. I don't want to call out the people who makes up GCOM and say that they cannot numerate. But that appears to be the case since the people of Guyana have been sitting and waiting for a decision on the local government election. But yet the PPP would have moved to Linden to celebrate and say that they have made inroads. I don't know how you can celebrate and say that you've made inroads anywhere, when GCOM have not been forthcoming with any information for the public. That further tells us that we need to have a new list come 2025 for the general elections, and we should continue to be on the ground protesting the Guyana Election Commission until a new list is created. Also, to the commissioners from the APNU side, who is a part of GCOM, I think that you guys need to do a better job of being more transparent. We've been sitting here waiting. even if GCOM as a complete body doesn't, reach out to us and give us an update, we are expecting an update from our commissioners. I have not heard of any, Mark. I don't know if you have, but these are the type of behaviors that I deem lawless, because people have a right, people have gotten up out their beds early in the morning. They have a right to know, what the decision was when it comes to the local government election, and they need it, and they need to have those results. That being said, Mark, I believe that, the results are not out because, there would have been some rigging there. I am certain that there would have been some rigging there, because the PPP goal is to kind of capture our townships across Guyana. You see that they don't really have command of the townships in Guyana. That is what make them by just a bit falling short of a complete dictatorship. We have to defend our townships. We have to get out. We have to vote. We have to keep Georgetown. Kudos again to the people of Linden. I think they have set the bar. Everybody needs to rally around the people of Linden and see what they're doing. Listen, Mark, the PPP wants Linden, okay? But they don't want the people. They want Linden. They want to build up their big resort, the big resort city out in Linden at the waterfront, so that they and their goons and all the imperialists could come into our country and have a good time. But people of Linden, stand strong, stand resolute. Linden belongs to you. And don't forget who it's named after. Our great founding father, Lyndon Forbes Sampson Barnum. That is the founding father. I make that very, very clear here tonight. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so much, Mr. Caesar. Well said. Can't add anything further to what you've said. Neither can I disagree with anything. I noticed that there's someone who's saying here, Alison Bennett is saying, Mark, I don't know if you could remember a Muslim teacher had bugger their little boys. And mind you, the B word is actually a legal word in the dictionary. So it is quite legal to mention it. So I'll start over. Mark, I don't know if you could remember a Muslim teacher. That's actually a Muslim scholar, someone who's well versed in the Quran and in Arabic, and so is very fluent. You'll speak as fast as Assalamu alaikum, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillah, and all these manner of things as fast as possible, the Quran inside out. And he was a Muslim scholar who was charged, or allegations were made that he buggered several little boys who were attending the orphanage. And so the file was at the DPP's chambers for a long time. I believe it was sent back to the police for more information and all manner of things, because the Muslim scholar was connected to the CIOG, which is the Central Islamic Organization of Guyana. And so the objective was to protect that Muslim scholar and to claim that, no, he didn't do that to the boys. I interviewed the mother of the boys, and the story was sickening. But because of public pressure, the DPP had no other choice, absolutely none whatsoever, to charge the Muslim scholar. They were beating around the bush in doing that. So when you think some people try to cover up because of their religion, they just try to cover up, And we have seen a lot of these questionable, in my opinion, questionable acts coming from the DPP chambers. And one begins to ask this question: is the DPP using her position to protect her friends and families and close associates of the PPP? Will she be doing that in the case of Dharamlal? Or will she recommend rape charges against Dharamlal? Or will she just send the file back to the police to waste people's time? Or will she just say, look, no charges at all, as what was attempted in this case, as Alison Bennett just mentioned, the Muslim scholar? I believe he's in jail right now, thanks to public pressure. And thanks to public pressure, again, we're seeing it here in allegations leveled against Nigel Dharamlal, who should never, regardless of the outcome, regardless of what the DPP chamber says, I don't see how he could possibly sit back there as a government minister. Right now, he's on leave, administrative leave, still getting your money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, including a driver, including vehicle, government vehicle, taxpayers. It was Nigel Hughes who said it and made it quite clear that misguided Ali, administrative leave not applicable to Dharamlal. He must be fired. Thank you for that, Lincoln Lewis. Attorney at law, senior counsel, member of parliament, Roysdale Ford has echoed the very, very sentiment. But tomorrow, for me, I think it's the big day. Read my lips. It's the big day tomorrow. Watch out. I've got to go for now, though. Thank you, as always, Mr. Caesar. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your opinions, and we appreciate the fact that you are brave enough to sit on this platform and to exercise your not only constitutional rights, but your democratic rights. And let me just say this, and you have mentioned it, that the PPP lagu-bagus, the pakus, are in the habit of threatening people. We're going to up the ante in terms of if they feel they can threaten. Some of them have their US visas. Be careful, or even without US visas. Some of them live here in the US. Don't feel you could threaten people and get away with it. It's not going to happen. A couple of them have tried that with me in my inbox. That is a crime. To inbox people and threaten them in a subtle way and sometimes a direct way, it is a crime. And I've had many of them crawling on their knees apologizing to me. It's not going to happen. Don't be afraid of those pakus, Mr. Caesar.
Oh, no, Mark. Not at all. Oh, no, not at all. They'll be messing with the wrong person. Not at all.
Thank you.
You know, I take those things very seriously. Very serious. Oh, no.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
Appreciate your time, sir. Caesar.
Yes,
Appreciate your
sir.
time.
Have
Yeah.
a good
Thank
night,
you so
Mark,
much.
and good night to all our listeners and viewers. You guys stay
Thank you.
safe and
Thank you.
take care.
Thank you so much. And for all of you, you know, I heard some folks were out protesting last week, and they were saying something to the effect, we gonna walk on them. Something to the effect, we gonna walk on them. We gonna walk on them. We gonna walk on them. You know, we're hearing that Nigel Dharamlal is directing his office via phone. We're hearing that. We're going to investigate that. We're going to look into that too. But for now, remember the other day they were saying we going to walk on them. We going to walk on them. Tomorrow is a big day. I feel tomorrow is a big day, man. Can I get a hallelujah? Tomorrow is a big day. But take this ad and I'll leave you guys with something before I go. Let's run this ad, this attorney at law, Shellon Washington. Give her office a call. Go out and support her office. Give her a buzz.
So this is attorney Shellon Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Remember, we said tomorrow is a huge, it could be UGE or it could be UGHES. Either way, all right. Hey guys, I'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time. I could come back sometime tomorrow morning as well. You never know, but I'm thinking that tomorrow is going to be a huge day. But the people are saying we're gonna walk on them. I don't know, but we got to do something, right? We got to do something. Tomorrow is a huge day, in my opinion, mind you. In my opinion, I wonder what's going to happen to Dharamlal. what's going to happen to him as the DPP chambers prepare to say something. And I'm thinking that that something will be tomorrow. But for now, just enjoy, and you can make your own interpretation about this, what I'm about to play here this evening. But for now, that is for all of you. God bless you. Until tomorrow, same place, same time. But if there's anything early in the day, we will bring it to you. God bless you. But I'm told that the protest continues tomorrow in front of the DPP chambers from 11:30, I believe. God bless you. Have a good night.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benscop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benscop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and on the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal them. Who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the truth. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Renskop, who tell the truth. Mark Renskop, defend the ghetto.